Okay, today we're looking at adding and subtracting fractions or rational expressions. And just like numbers, in order to add or subtract, you need common denominators. Okay, so let's actually write that. So to add or subtract fractions, okay, the denominators have to be the same. Okay, denominators okay, must be the same. Must be the same. Okay, so to add or subtract fractions, the denominators must be the same. So it's just a matter of getting the denominators the same, and then you can add or subtract. All right? Okay, I'm going to look at an example with just numbers, just fractions. And so you'll see the process when we look at variables, it'll be the same. So just to recall how you worked with just regular fractions. So example 1. Let's say we're going to add 1/2, leave a little space, so spread this out a little, plus 1/3. Okay. Well, what we know we cannot do is say, hey, let's just add the tops and add the bottoms and say, hey, our answer, I'm going to put this over here, 1 plus 1, so 2/5. So is this 2/5? No. So let's kind of circle that, put a big line through it, so we know we cannot do that. All right. So we have to, the denominators must be the same. All right, so I think we know how to do this, but what's the common denominator? 6. Okay. Our lowest common denominator is 6. Okay, so let's set it up. And this is the way we're going to set it up with variables. So I'll do the same thing. So put our fraction bar like this. And then we want the denominators to be 6. So I put it in there. Okay, then I make the adjustment. Okay, so now this 2, how do I make that 6? What do I have to multiply the 2 to get the 6? 3. So I'm going to write it over here. So times 3. That'll make it the 6. And so if I multiply the bottom by 3, what do I have to do to the top? Multiply the top by 3. Okay, so that's 1 times 2. So that's 3/6. And there you go. And you'll see this is the same way we're going to change the denominators when we work with variables. Okay, so this we have to multiply by 2 to make that a 6. And so multiply that by 2. So that's 2. And now we can add it, just because we have common denominators. So the common denominator is 6. Well, how many 6 do we have? 5. There we go. And that's the process. Okay, just adjust the numerators. Okay, number 2. Okay, if we have 17 over 6x cubed y minus 2 over 6x cubed y. Well, some of your homework is nice because are the denominators the same? So we're good. Okay, so 6x cubed y, that's our common denominator. And the subtractions, it's kind of your choice, but this is what I do. Instead of subtraction, what do you think I do? Can I make this a plus? And then if I make this a plus, then what? Negative. Okay, so let me go ahead and make that a plus. I change the signs, and I add. Okay, so I change that to a negative. Okay, and if that was a negative, I change that to a positive, right? So okay, so what's our answer? 15. 17 plus negative 2. So 15 over that. Here we go. If you left your answer like that, why would it take a point off? Because it's not simplified. Okay, we can reduce a little bit. What can we how can we reduce that? By 3. Okay. So that goes in there 5 times. That goes in there twice. Okay, so it's 5 over 2x cubed y. And there we go. Okay. Okay, number 3. Okay, 5x plus 1 over x plus 2 minus 2x plus 7 over x plus 2. Okay, again, kind of nice. Look, they gave us common denominators. We don't have to make any changes. Okay, one change personally, what I would do is do what? Instead of, change the signs and we'll add. Okay, so let's make this a plus and change that to a minus, and then you got to change this one to a minus, and there we go. Okay, so common denominator is x plus 2, got that. And then it's 5x plus 1. You can put the plus there, it's not going to hurt anything, plus negative 2x minus 7. And there we go. So we add like terms. So what do we have? 3x minus 6, good, over x plus 2. Okay, that's your answer, but I would get in the habit of, because sometimes it's not completely, can we factor something? Okay, let's take out a 3. That leaves us with x minus 2 over x plus 2. We get in the habit of that because a lot of times what happens, we can then reduce. So get in the habit of factoring all the time. So it doesn't reduce out, but so we'll circle it. Okay? Okay, so let's look at one without, when the denominators are different. We have to adjust. So number 4. Okay, 7 over 3x squared plus x over 4. Right, we want to add these two fractions. Okay, well, they didn't give us common denominators. So guess what? We make them have common denominators. What is our common denominator? Okay, 12x squared. I agree. Okay, so how do you get your common denominator? Well, each denominator has to divide into, or you can multiply your denominator by something to get your common denominator. All right? Okay, so let's write it out. Okay, so 12x squared, and you'll see why 12x squared works in a second once I adjust. Okay, so there we go. We got 12x squared. That's our common denominator. Okay, so let's adjust. Just like, move this up, just like we did here. We adjusted to get our common denominator. Okay, so move this back up. All right, so this denominator. What do I have to multiply this to get your 12x squared? Times 4. Okay, so multiply by 4. So if I multiply the bottom by 4, what do we do to the top? Multiply that by 4. So that gives us 28. There we go. Let's do the same thing over there. How do I adjust this? What do I have to multiply 4 to get 12x squared? 3x squared. So times 3x squared. Let's multiply that by 3x squared. Okay, so 3x cubed, right? So 3x cubed. Perfect. So we just set it up to make it nice and easy. Right? Okay, so it's over 12x squared, common denominator. Okay, and what do we have on the top? You literally just, you add it. So 28 plus 3x cubed. Okay, is that as far as we can go? Can we factor the top? Is that a SOAP? No, it's not a perfect cube. There's no, can't, GCF of 3, that doesn't go into 28. Oh, we can reduce the x cubed and the x. Hey, and the 3, why not?
Because there's a plus.
There's a plus there, the terms. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's it. That's as far as we can go. Okay. All right. Trying to. You guys are too smart. Okay. Okay, number 5, x over x minus 3 minus x plus 2 over 3 minus x. Well, this one's almost common denominators. So what's our common denominator? Or what do you want it to be, actually? X minus 3. So what do we have to do? Okay, switch. Okay, so if I switch this, 3 minus x, what do I have to do? Pull out a negative. Okay, so I'm going to switch this, pull out a negative. So what is this? What's going to happen here? Good. Let's make that a positive because this will be minus a negative. Okay, so let me write this. So it's x over x minus 3. I pull out the negative. It's minus negative. Let me just make that plus. And then x plus 2 over, instead of 3 minus x, now that's x minus 3, and we're good. Okay, so there we go. So we have x minus 3 as our common denominator. So I make one switch, pull out one negative. Okay, so there's my, and then what do we have on the top? X plus 2. Well, what's x plus x? 1x plus 1x. Not x squared. 1x plus 1x. So 2x plus 2. And just to get in the habit, factor when you can. Okay, so take out a 2. You're left with x plus 1 over x minus 3. That's all we can do. There we go. So far, so easy? Good. Okay. Okay, number 6. All right. Number 6. Okay, 5 over x plus 4 plus 3 over x minus 3. Okay, picking the common denominator kind of first period and fourth period. Couldn't get it at first. What do you think the common denominator, because they're different obviously, what do you think the common denominator is? 12 x plus 12 x minus, that's what they were saying. 12x plus 12. Okay. X, if I say no, those are not right, wouldn't we want to FOIL them? Okay, well let me, remember, we need to get a common denominator. So go ahead and put parentheses around it. It makes it look better. And knowing that so let's go ahead and set this up. So make your fraction bars plus. So knowing that we have to be able to adjust and multiply something to get a common denominator. So don't write this, but just look. So let's say, hey, let's try x plus 12 as a common denominator. Well, is there anything I can multiply this x plus 4 to get that? I really can't. I can't multiply by 3 because that would make it 3x plus 12, right? Okay, so we know it's not that, but there we go. Okay, and so I'm going to say my common denominator is one of each denominator. Okay, and so it's x plus 4 times x minus 3. And by putting the parentheses there, it makes it look easier to do that. And then so x plus 4, x minus 3. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so now knowing that, now it should be easier. All right, so let's look at this denominator. What do I have to multiply this denominator to get my common denominator? What's missing? Or what do I have to multiply by? X minus 3. Okay, so let's do that. So x minus 3. And if I multiply the bottom by x minus 3, multiply the top by x minus 3. Right? Okay, so I'm going to write it as 5 times x minus 3 for now. Okay. And let's go over to this one. So what do we have to adjust? So multiply by x plus 4. So 3 times x plus 4. And now we're good. Okay, now it's a common denominator. All right, so now let's go ahead and put that under the common denominator, x plus 4, x minus 3. That's our common denominator. And then we have this thing, the numerator, plus that thing. So I'm going to add it, but as we do it, just to save us another line of writing, let me go ahead and distribute. So we have 5x minus 15, right, plus 3x plus 12, right? Okay, distributed. I distributed. Okay, so now let's go and add like terms. So we have 8x minus 3 over x plus 4, x minus 3. And there we go. Okay, so knowing that that's how you get your common denominator, I think we should get the next one. So 2 more, a little too easy. Let me step it up a little bit. Okay. Okay, number 7. Okay, 2 more here. Okay, 8 over x plus 3 minus 7 over x squared minus 9. So common denominator, x squared minus 9 times x plus 3. No. Put parentheses around them. Okay, let's go ahead and factor the x squared minus 9 just to see what we're looking at, so we're not guessing. Okay, so 8 over x plus 3 minus 7 over x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay. So now it's a little easier to look at. Now, in order to pick the common denominator, I know some of you have a question on this. In order to pick the common denominator, I look at it as you have these denominators, all these factors. Make sure your common denominator has at least one of each different factor. One of each different factor. Okay. So we have an x plus 3, and we have an x minus 3. So we got to have that. And there we go. That's your common denominator, x plus 3 and x minus 3. Okay, so let's write that. So this minus this. So x plus 3, x minus 3. X plus 3, x minus 3. There we go. Okay, and then we know that we can multiply something to get our common denominator. So what do we have there? So we're missing a x minus 3. So x minus 3. So this numerator is 8 times x minus 3. Okay, so we've adjusted. Okay, what about this one? Do we have to adjust it? No, we're good. So you already have the common denominator, so let's put 7. All right, so now that we have it all set up, we're good. So I'm going to go plus a negative. So plus a negative. Okay, so our common denominator, x plus 3, x minus 3. On the top, it's this plus that. So I have 8x minus 24. Distribute that. Plus negative 7. It's okay to put the plus there. And so our answer is, what do we have? 8x minus 31. Good, over x plus 3, x minus 3. And that definitely doesn't factor there, so we're good. Good. Okay. Okay, last one. This is a homework problem. Go ahead and do this on your notes, just because I know there's not a whole lot of room for it on the actual worksheet. And if you have it in your notes, you won't just leave it blank on your homework. So this is number 15. Okay, so 2 over x squared plus 4x minus 5 minus 4 over x squared plus 3x minus 10. Okay, so we want to subtract these fractions. Okay, those denominators are definitely not the same. They're both squared functions, but they're not the same. What do we need to do? Factor it. Factor it. See what we're looking at. Okay. So 2 over, let's go ahead and factor. Okay, minus 4 over, and we'll factor. Okay, 5 and 1. So x times x, 5 times 1. Where's the plus? Where's the minus? Plus 5x minus 1x. We're good. X times x, 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is negative 10, so we need positive 3, so plus 5 minus 2. Okay, it's factored. Good. So now at least we know what we're looking at. Now we've got to pick our common denominator. So what is our common denominator? Okay, x plus 5, x minus 1, x minus 2. Okay, one of each different. Okay, so we have an x plus 5, got that. We have an x minus 1, and we have an x minus 2. So there's 3 things, so let me write that out. So I agree, x plus 5, an x minus 1, and we have an x minus 2. X plus 5, x minus 1, x minus 2. There we go. And now we just adjust the numerators, and we're good. It's as tough as it gets right here. It's just not, hopefully not too tough. Okay, let's make the adjustments there. So what's missing out of this denominator? The x minus 2. So we multiply that by x minus 2. Let me stay consistent here. X minus 2 there, so multiply that by x minus 2. So we have 2 times x minus 2. Let's go to this one. What's missing out of this one? X minus 1. So x minus 1, and so I'll multiply that by x minus 1. Okay, so you have 4 times x minus 1. There we go. So now what?
Distribute or kind of like x minus 2 on left.
Reduce that. Okay, we could mathematically reduce that, but we'll distribute. Okay, yeah. By the way, can I reduce out the x minus 2?
No.
I could, but what would happen? You wouldn't have a common denominator, and we'd go right back to where, right? We did that on purpose. Okay. So let me do this. Let me change the signs and add. So instead of being a minus, let's make that a plus and put a negative. Plus and a negative. Okay. So here's our common denominator. X plus 5, x minus 1, x minus 2. Common denominator. And let's go ahead and distribute. So we have 2x minus 4 plus what? Negative 4x minus 4 or plus 4? Plus 4. Negative times negative, so plus 4. Plus 4, right? Perfect. So what's our answer? Negative 2x. That's your over, yeah, it comes out, right? X plus 5, x minus 1, x minus 2. Nothing reduces, and we're good. Yeah. Okay, questions? Okay, so some of your assignment We'll have common numbers already. Some you have to change around a little bit. Right? Okay, your assignment is, okay, we split this into two sections. It's numbers 1 through 15, but we just did 15, so actually just 1 through 14 on the worksheet.